Hello and welcome to another episode of today's GK. Let's start with the practice question of the last segment. Which of the following can be used by Fusobacterium necrophorum? Periodontal disease, tonsillitis, peritonsillar abscess. So we have to select the correct statements, correct answer using the codes. All the three are caused by Fusobacterium necrophorum. D is the correct answer. Now recently a study identified the presence of Fusobacterium nucleatum in oral tumors at a significantly higher burden than in the oral cavity of the healthy individual. Fusobacterium is a genus of anaerobic, gram-negative, non-spore-forming bacteria similar to bacteroids. There are multiple species of Fusobacterium, but the one most commonly associated with human diseases, Fusobacterium necrophorum. It is the cause of periodontal disease, tonsillitis, peritonsillar abscess, and thrombophlebitis of the jugular vein, Lemaitre syndrome, that is. Okay, moving on. Consider the following statements regarding National Supercomputing Mission. It supports the government's vision of Digital India and Make in India. It is being implemented by the Department of Science and Technology. We have to select the correct statement. First is correct. A is the correct answer. The National Supercomputing Mission has progressed significantly to realize the goal of developing the indigenous supercomputing ecosystem of the nation. NSM was announced in 2015, which supports the government's vision of Digital India and Make in India. It is jointly steered by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology and Department of Science and Technology. It is being implemented by the Center for Development of Advanced Computing, Pune, CDAC, and the Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru. Consider the following statements regarding scheduled tribe. The Constitution in Article 366, Clause 25 defines the criteria for recognition of scheduled tribes. Article 46 provides for the promotion of educational and economic interest of SCs, STs, and other weaker sections. The SC-ST rules 1950 calls for the first time for representatives of backward tribes in provincial assemblies. We have to select the correct statement. Second is correct. B is the correct answer. Recently, the Gujarat government marked 100 years of the Pal-Dadhvav killings. Pal-Dadhvav massacre is where tribal revolutionaries fell to British bullets. As per census 1931, scheduled tribes are termed as backward tribes living in the excluded and partially excluded areas. The Constitution does not define the criteria for recognition of STs. The definition contained in the 1931 census was used in the initial years after independence. The Government of India Act 1935 called for the first time for representatives of backward tribes in provincial assemblies. Article 366, Clause 25 of the Constitution only provides a process to define scheduled tribe. Article 46 provides for the promotion of educational and economic interest of SCs, STs, and other weaker sections. Consider the following statements regarding Chandrayaan-2. The Chandrayaan-2 was India's first attempt to land on the lunar surface. The rover of Chandrayaan-2 is called Vikram, after Vikram Sarabhai. So, we have to select the correct statement. First is correct, A is the correct answer. An equipment on board India's 2017 Chandrayaan-2 orbiter has made new observations about the distribution of an important gas in the moon's upper atmosphere. Chandrayaan-2 is an integrated 3-in-1 spacecraft of around 3,877 kg consisting of an orbiter of the moon, Vikram, the lander, and Pragyan, the rover. Moving on. These all are equipped with scientific instruments to study the moon. The Chandrayaan-2 was India's first attempt to land on the lunar surface. ISRO had planned the landing on the south pole on the lunar surface. However, the lander Vikram hard landed. Its orbiter, which is still in the lunar orbit, has a mission life of 7 years. Consider the following statements. India is a signatory to the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child Justice Bindal Committee. Talks about the best interest of the child. We have to select the correct statement. Both are correct. C is the correct answer. In the recent past, there have been changes to the rules for passport and PAN card that allow an applicant to furnish their mother's name. But this continues to be a niggling issue when it comes to school certificates and umpteen other documents. Indian laws accord superiority to the father in the case of guardianship of a minor. India is a signatory to the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. The definition of best interest of the child has been incorporated from the UNCRC in the Juvenile Justice, Care and Protection of Children Act 2015. The report of the Justice Bindal Committee also said that best interests of the child are of paramount importance in matters relating to child custody in the views of UNCRC. Consider the following statements. National Payments Corporation of India is a not-for-profit company for opening retail payments and settlement system in India, and UPI transaction is currently the second biggest among the NPCI operated systems after NEFT. We have to select the correct statement. A is correct. Recently, the RBI launched UPI 123 Pay that allows UPI payments on feature phones. NPCI is an umbrella organization for operating retail payment and settlement system in India, and it is an initiative of the RBI and Indian Banks Association under the provisions of the Payment and Settlement System Act of 2007. It is a not-for-profit company under the provision of the Section 25 of Companies Act 1956, now Section 8 of Companies Act 2013. It aims to provide infrastructure to the entire banking system in India for physical as well as electronic payment and settlement system. UPI is currently the biggest amongst the National Payments Corporation of India operated system. Consider the following statements with respect to the Netherlands. It shares its land borders with 3 countries only. Among the neighboring countries, it shares the largest border with Sweden. We have to select the correct statement. Both of them are not correct. D is the correct answer. Prime Minister spoke to his Netherlands counterpart, Mark Rutte, on the phone and discussed about the ongoing situation in Ukraine. The Netherlands is a country located in Western Europe with overseas territories in the Caribbean, and it is the largest of the 4 constituent countries of the Kingdom of the Netherlands in Europe. The Netherlands consists of 12 provinces bordering Germany to the east and Belgium to the south, and the North Sea to the northwest, with its maritime borders in the North Sea with those countries and the United Kingdom. Consider the following statements with respect to the voter verifiable paper audit trail. The VVPAT is placed in a transparent glass case, allowing only the returning officer to see the vote, and at the moment, the VVPAT slips are counted in a randomly selected polling station in each assembly, constituency or parliamentary constituency. We have to select the correct statement. Second is correct. B is the correct answer. The Supreme Court has declined to urgently consider a plea for matching VVPAT in increased polling booths in each constituency. VVPAT is a machine that is used in elections to verify that the citizen's vote has been correctly placed. VVPAT means voter verifiable paper audit trail. It is placed in a transparent glass case, allowing the voters to see the vote. The voter slips is then displayed to the voter for about 7 seconds. Then it is dropped in the storage box and a beep confirms this action. The VVPAT can be accessed by the polling officials but not by the voters. At the moment, the VVPAT slips are counted in a randomly selected polling station in each assembly constituency or parliamentary constituency depending upon the nature of the elections being held. Consider the following statements with respect to the Ujjwala Yojana. It was introduced in the year 2016. The target under the scheme was to release 8 crore LPG connections to the deprived households by March 2020. We have to select the correct statement. Both are correct. C is the correct answer. At the 2-day dialogue towards clean air, it was suggested that scaling up the Ujjwala scheme could be a step in the right direction. In May 2016, the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas introduced the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana as a flagship scheme. The objective was to make clean cooking fuel, such as LPG, available to the rural and deprived households which were otherwise using traditional cooking fuels such as firewood, coal, cow dung cakes. Usage of traditional cooking fuels had detrimental impacts on the health of rural women as well as on the environment, and the scheme was launched on 1st May 2016 in Balia, Uttar Pradesh by the Honorable Prime Minister of India. The target under the scheme was to release 8 crore LPG connections to the deprived households by March 2020. Which of the following countries has recently raised its age of sexual consent from 12 to 16 years? The correct answer is option D, Philippines. The Philippines on Monday raised its age of sexual consent from 12 to 16 years. The President signed off on the amendment to the Special Protection of Children Against Abuse, Exploitation and Discrimination Act. Until Monday, it had one of the lowest ages of consent in the world, with roughly 1 in 5 children experiencing sexual violence. Consider the following statements with respect to the electronic voting machines. Once voting ends, EVM are dispatched to the strong rooms right away. Candidates or their representatives can travel behind vehicles carrying EVMs from the polling station to the strong room. So we have to select the correct statement. Second is correct, B is the correct answer. The authenticity of EVMs has been questioned by Samajwadi Party Chief Akhilesh Yadav. Closer to the election date, EVMs are allocated randomly to various assembly segments through a software in the presence of party representatives. If the representative are absent, then a list of allocated EVMs and VVPAT machines for each assembly segment is shared with the party office. Once voting ends, EVMs are not dispatched to the strong rooms right away. The presiding officer is required to prepare an account of votes recorded on the machine. An attested copy of this is provided to each candidate's polling agent. After this, the EVM is sealed. Candidates and their agents are allowed to put their signatures on the seals, which they can check for any signs of tampering. Candidates or their representatives travel behind vehicles carrying EVMs from the polling station to the strong rooms, preferably located close to the counting center. Practice question for the next segment. Consider the following statements regarding Chief Election Commissioner. He or she is appointed by the President of India. He or she can resign anytime or can be removed even before the expiry of his or her term. So we have to select the correct statement. Okay, so that's it for today. Tomorrow we shall meet again with another segment. Until then, stay updated and thank you so much for watching.